Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. The question is asking here, well, there's two questions and they're from two separate questioners, but I'm just going to pull to one. Number one, the question is asking, are we allowed to eat snake? Are we allowed to eat snake? And the second question is, are we allowed to wear snake skin or crocodile skin? And if not, are we allowed to wear something which looks like it, imitation of snake skin or crocodile skin? Now, to answer this question, the Messenger of Allah said in a hadith which is sahih, which is reported by Muslim on the authority of Hurairah, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prohibited anything, kulli dhi na'ib haram, anything that's got fangs is haram. Basically, any predatory animal is haram for you to eat. In another hadith, on the authority of Abu Tha'laba, and this is in Bukhari and Muslim, Naha Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade an akl kullu dhi na'ib or kullu dhi na'ib min as-siba', any predatory animal, any wild animal that's got fangs. Therefore, snakes and anything else with fangs, anything else which is a carnivorous animal, will be haram for a Muslim to eat. And this applies to land animals as well as birds. It does not apply to sea animals, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has permitted for us to eat animals from the sea. He says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ صَيْدُ الْبَحْرِ وَطَعَامُهُ مَتَاعًا لَكُمْ وَلِلسَّيَّارَةِ. It's permissible for you the hunting game of the sea and its food. And he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, الْمَاءُ طُهُورٌ وَالْحِلُّ مَيْتَةٌ. It's water, meaning the sea. The water is purifying, even though it's got salt, it's salty water, but everything in the sea is permissible for you to benefit from. The water, its meat, etc. So that's the first part. The second part of the question, are we allowed to wear Are we allowed to wear predatory animals as clothing? Now, this is something important because, like some people, I know of one brother, he spent about £1,000 on a jacket, and it's got, I think, fox fur on it or some kind of fur on it, and it's actual fox fur. I don't know if it's actually fox, but it's actual fur from an animal that we're not allowed to eat. That's haram for him. He's just spent £1,000. So he said, I can detach that bit. When he detached it, it doesn't look the same. So this is something important because people are doing it. And I think in certain cultures, people, wear these kind of clothing. And even answer the first part of the question, some people they use, is quite bad, but the blood, or they make oil out of the meat of certain predatory animals. This is all haram. It's all haram. The clothing is haram also for us to benefit from. The Messenger of Allah, this is in Bukhari, and the authority of Ibrahim as it, the Messenger of Allah forbade al-mayathir. Mayathir refers to the skin of animals that are made out of silk. And some of the ulama have said this also applies to wild animals also. But something more direct than that, we have the hadith in Abu Dawood, which is made sahih by Shaykh al-Albani, Al-Miqdam ibn Ka'yaqib. He says, radiyallahu anhu, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade an libs julud as-siba wa rukub alayha. We are not allowed to wear the leather or the suede of these predatory animals, the ones with the fangs, or sit on them, meaning as saddles. Use them as saddles. We use their skin as saddle, the leather from them as saddle, or even as furnishing. Sometimes people, especially in the West now, in Northern America, they will use bear skin. In Asia, I would guess they would use tiger skin. And there is another hadith where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade, and this is on the authority of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, and this is also in Abu Dawood, made sahih by Shaykh al-Albani, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam naha an ruqub an-nimar. Now this is now the skin of tiger, so now you're not allowed to use that as a saddle, and you're not allowed to use that as a rug. in another hadith, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا تسأل الملائكة, that malaika do not accompany those people who use the skin of the tiger, meaning tiger leather, for their clothing and their furnishing. Therefore, the ulama are in total agreement that anything, now there's no difference of opinion on this, that anything with fangs not permissible for us to eat. Anything with fangs we are not supposed to wear. Now, the question is, what if it's synthetic? What if it just looks like it, but it is not actually the case? Now, this applies to gold. Certain things are gold by colour, gold plated. So when a person wears a gold watch or gold earrings, for men won't really wear earrings, but a gold watch, let's just keep it simple. A gold watch. A person looks at it, it looks like it's real gold, but it's actually plated. Is that allowed? We know that actual gold is not allowed, but is plated okay? Crocodile skin shoes, for example, or crocodile or tiger skin, or even this one here, the one with the guy who spent that money on the coat. He's got fox fur, for example. Real fox fur, as we've already established, not allowed. But what if it's an imitation? What if it's not actual gold, but it looks like actual gold? What if it's not actual snake, but it looks like actual snake? What if it's not actual crocodile? You get the idea. So now some of the ulama have said, no, it is not allowed. And this is the view of Ibn Baz, and this is the view of Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. Because it's still an imitation of something which is haram. And if a person was to look at it, they will think this person is doing something haram. Nobody's going to look at a watch and think, okay, that's gold plated. If it looks gold, then they're going to think, okay, this person is wearing gold. Astaghfirullah. So these things have been made prohibited because of the thing that is prohibited in and of itself, but also it's been made prohibited for us so that we don't look like the people who wear it as well. So this is the argument, and I think that's safer. If snake skin has been made impermissible, why would the Muslim want to wear something that looks like something that is impermissible in the faith? And that's my own personal view. Others from the ulama, such as Bin Baz and others, they have said no, there is no prohibition on something which is an imitation, which is synthetic. What is haram is the actual thing itself. And the principle for this is well known with the ulama. Al-hukm yaduru ma'a illatih wujudan wa adama. الحكم يدور مع علته وجودا وعدما. The ruling on something depends on the reason why that thing has been made that ruling. If we know the reason. If the reason is absent, then the hukm is absent. So if you're wearing snakeskin leather, for example, is it actual snakeskin? If it is, then the hukm is as it is. If it's not actual snakeskin, then the illah is not there. The reason is not there. So how are you going to make something which is prohibited when the reason for why it would be prohibited is not there? But I would say that this is something that the Muslim should avoid for the sake of him closing any kind of doors towards anything which is prohibited and having love towards that. The Muslim should think and use hikmah in not wanting to resemble those things that are haram, and think about what that would do for other people as well. A person will say, okay, well, something looks haram, but it's not actually haram, so I'm going to do it. Then that's going to catch on. And that could obviously lead to fitna. So I would say that the view of Uthaymeen on this is stronger. So the answer to both these questions now, anything with fangs not permissible, snake is not permissible for you to eat and benefit, even for medicinal purposes. And the skin of it or any other predatory animal is not permissible, even if it's an imitation of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He clothes us with the clothing of taqwa, and that He clothes us with the clothing of Jannah in the akhirah. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله على نبينا محمد.